Oh, I'm sorry. Did I break your concentration?
Somewhere between science and superstition.
We have such sights to show you.
Strange Eons. Let's rock this joint. Welcome to Strange Eons Radio. That's Eric over there.
Hey, how's it going?
That's Vanessa over there.
What's up?
I'm Kelly. Hey, you guys, you know how I talk a little bit? I vamp a little bit at the beginning of each show. I'm going to let you guys decide what I talk about. I got three choices here.
Oh, God.
Okay.
Alec Baldwin,
Oh, God.
Oh, wow.
Dave Chappelle,
Okay.
or my fat cow of a neighbor who lives upstairs.
Oh, man. These are really tough choices.
One's depressing, one's aggravating, and one is, I don't know.
I need to die.
Choose your own adventure.
Oh, crap. Well,
Want to guess my fingers, and we'll go with whatever you.
Oh, boy.
Yeah. Okay. I'm gonna guess.
What happens if you guess right?
Vanessa, pick a topic.
Well, the only one I can speak to at all is Alec Baldwin. I can't talk about the others.
Let's talk about Alec Baldwin, actor, producer, murderer.
Oh, Jesus Christ! It just really sucks. In my very humble opinion, that his name is on the front of all of this because, for example. Our news does not typically work that way. So if a 3-year-old accidentally shoots his 5-year-old brother, you don't have Jimmy Page murdered his brother, Robert Page, today. Like, there's usually a layer of some kind of discretion in there. And it feels like, hey, this horrible, awful thing happened on set. And let's go ahead and confuse everyone who has no idea how sets work and say that Alec Baldwin shot a dude. And not give any context to how something like that would happen. So let's just all go ahead and say he's a murderer or that he doesn't know how to handle a weapon. Really great options.
Well, I guess he wouldn't be a murderer, at least not first degree.
Yeah, they did let him go.
And my feeling is, if you haven't heard, Alec Baldwin in a independent film pulled the trigger on the gun. It shot through the cinematographer, killing her,
yeah.
And then hit the director in the shoulder. The armorer on set didn't check the gun properly. The AD didn't check the gun properly.
The AD lied, well, not lied, but handed the gun to him and said cold weapon, which means there's no real live bullets in here. Go ahead and use it.
Which, of course, why would there ever be on a set?
Never should, and never, ever, ever in a million years happen.
And so I think that probably Alec Baldwin, the actor, cannot be blamed for this.
Right.
But
Alec Baldwin is also the producer on this film.
That is the difficult part.
Yes.
Yeah. As an actor, I think he was in the actor mind. And something that I've heard from a lot of people, and I just kind of want to address this really quick, is why didn't he check before using it? Actors aren't allowed to check them because
they can't drive themselves to set on a SAG thing, and you can't.
It's legally,
check the weapons.
Yeah, because the armorer and the props master and anybody who's in charge of that weapon, they're in charge. When you're on set, you are in charge of the thing you are there for. No one's going to lift your equipment. No one's going to touch your shit. And that goes for weapons because those are so incredibly respected normally on set that if the actor opened it up, they would immediately have to take it away from him, recheck it, retest it, re-go everything, close it, and hand it back to him and say, don't fucking open this again because we don't know what could happen. What if you opened it and you put something in there? So he's not legally meant to mess with it. However, yes, the fact that he's a
normally, Vanessa, I just agree with you no matter what you say.
That is,
but in this particular instance, I will say this: not a union set, and so none of that shit matters.
I thought it was a union because they walked off.
It had to be altered or some shit like that because they had the union walk off, and then they replaced the people who walked off with non-union people.
That's why this all gets really muddy really quick. But I will say I've been on shows. I was on a TLC show where we were asked, there were literally things that said slates for Sarah on our slate. And they were like, yeah, go ahead and get on these train tracks. We don't know the schedule. We have not like locked out anything off. I've been asked to be on train tracks before, just willy-nilly. So this shit goes down on all the time. Yeah. And this is why unions are so important and why it's so vital right now that crews are heard because it's ridiculous. It's absolutely ridiculous.
Just to muddy the waters even more, this is something I heard today. I didn't bother to check it, but I'm happy to share it and continue it going.
Oh, God.
Give me the clicks.
The AD was also a crew member on the second Crow movie.
Interesting. Well,
boy, if that's true,
if that's
really
true, that sucks.
Weird.
If that's true, this person's never getting work again.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I guess rightfully so. But I am very troubled that they said cold weapon and handed it to him. I don't know how many pictures he works on as a producer. I don't know what his involvement as a producer was on this. Yes, he should definitely have been like, oh, wow, half the crew walked out this morning. I guess maybe we should think on this a little bit further. Yeah. I do think there's a responsibility in that sense, but I don't think his name should have been on every headline as Alec Baldwin this morning, hours ago, minutes ago, shot somebody on set. That seems real not classy and very unethical to it.
Yeah, because we all know that especially the internet journalists work really hard to make sure that they're not publishing just a clickbait thing, but they're actually publishing true, hard news stories.
Yeah, I know.
I saw the Fox News report of this was it actually used the word murdered.
Oh, I'm sure.
Yeah,
and nobody bothered to say this was a take. They were recording.
Right. So,
I mean, we've all been, I'm assuming you have as well, all been on sets with firearms.
Oh, yes.
I mean, I've had blanks fired inches from my ears when I was DPing for somebody. But by far the most dramatic one was when I was working, I was a DP on this when I was shooting a robbery of a Taco Del Mar in Pioneer Square.
Jesus.
The fucking producer didn't call Seattle Police Department to tell him we're going to have cars screaming up on the sidewalk, getting out of their cars with their guns drawn and running into this restaurant.
Is this bullshit producer I know about also? Yeah. Okay.
So I was sitting there, I was checking the camera and I looked up and all the actors are on the ground with cops pointing guns at them.
Oh my God.
They're like, producer, sir, I think you need to get out front.
Oh my God. Yeah, I mean, that's the thing. Like, this shit happens all the fucking time. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, the thing that I was on where we had the armorer was put into jail 2 days before, and instead of a payment, they paid his bail because in Seattle, we don't have enough people to legally be on set as an armorer. So they paid his bail to come and be on set. When he's exhausted, just came out of jail, is probably in trouble for God knows what. I remember he brought his dad, and I remember there was a lot of people who were extremely nervous and extremely upset. And there was something that happened that people were not happy about that involved the weapon. But this is it's fucking crazy shit. Anyway.
Well, even on our film, Eric, we had our stunt guy was also our gun wrangler, and he made sure, and it was a revolver, and he made sure to pop it open, show the actor who was holding it that I'm holding you, I'm handing you an empty gun, and basically, cleared the gun before every single take too. Yeah. The gun never moved between the actor and him. Yeah. It was just the two of them that held it, and he still did that between every take. Yeah. And it was like, we could barely afford the time it took for that, and we still made sure to make that happen.
Yeah. And we had one other person, because Martha commented on this on Sunday, that he remembers being on set, and before it got to that point, he was a career military guy. He was in the military for over 20 years. He'd take it, and he'd check it, and he looked at, we didn't have blanks or anything. We had nothing that could go in that gun.
Yeah.
So that's how I think it should always be, especially if you've got any kind of a budget. Putting a muzzle flash and something into a gun now is
I'm glad you bring that up, because yes, I agree, but I don't think actors act the same without the gun reacting.
That's true.
Yeah, that is a big part of it. If you're going to add it in later, it's like working with a green screen. It's really, not only do you want the reaction of the person holding the gun, but the reaction of the person who is on the other end of it. There is a whole, it is helpful. It is very helpful.
It is. They're loud. They're real goddamn loud.
Yeah. And I said that, and of course, I believe every time Han Solo shoots his blaster. So, I don't know. Maybe Harrison Ford is just a better actor. Okay, let's move on. I'm really bummed you didn't want to know about my fat cow or fucking neighbor.
That was option number 2 because I know nothing about the other.
Well, you missed out. Let's talk about the elephant in the room, which I think we have probably all seen. Halloween Kills.
Oh my God! Hey, yeah, we have.
Yep. Oh yeah,
all
seen it.
And
oh my God, why are you looking at me? Why is it always me who has to go first?
I saw it. I saw it on HBO Max.
Mm-hmm.
I thought it was not very good. I still liked it better than the last one.
Yes.
Yeah.
Agreed.
It's
every single person in it, when faced with a choice of what to do, chose the wrong thing to do, and that just made me hate the writer.
Yeah,
because I was like, well, you built up all these characters last movie into how intelligent they are and everything, and then you just took all that away and made them do stupid things.
Yeah.
I had heard, and you guys can correct me if I'm wrong, that originally it was meant to be 2 movies and it became 3. Is that correct?
I'm not sure. I haven't heard that, but it could be true.
The thing that really struck me about this movie is nothing changes between the start and the end of the film. No one shifts, no one grows, no one learns anything. A bunch of just shit happens, but it doesn't matter. It affects nothing.
Mm-hmm.
The only lesson we get is that group think can be bad and you can whip people into a frenzy, but it's also good because then maybe those people will get to beat on the bad guy with a baseball bat
and an iron. Don't forget the iron.
Jesus. You know what? It was perfectly fun enough. Like, I actually didn't mind it too much. I probably did like the first one a little bit more, but like I thought it was going to be way worse off of the way people reacted to it. So I was like, I don't know. It doesn't.
Vanessa,
fine.
Evil dies tonight.
Evil does not die tonight. Evil will die the next night.
Clearly, it did not.
Evil needs one more night to brew.
The third movie, I assume, takes place during the same night. So perhaps this
Evil will die.
This time we really mean it.
This time he definitely, the thing that's impossible to kill, he will definitely get killed.
Sure. I mean, he's had his head cut off and he'd lived through that. So there's got to be a perfectly easy way to kill him now. I mean, I thought it was fun. I thought the Michael Myers was good. The segments.
The mask was fucking great.
Yes.
It was good.
His kill scenes and the crazy shit he was doing was great. But every time they left that, I mean, it's just like, did somebody punch like Jamie Lee Curtis in the stomach or something? So even she was flat, and she's been great in terrible movies, but she was just.
It's because her character has nowhere to go and nothing to do.
She's bedridden the entire time.
She's like literally, she's in the hospital, and she's a one note flute. I don't know. Like she only does one thing, which is to say, Michael is bad. Michael is evil.
Yeah.
We need to stop him. Like the whole time, like there's nothing else in there. Like,
and I thought that bringing back the survivors was kind of a neat idea.
That was fun.
But then what they did with them was not a neat idea.
No, it really was like a middle child. Like, hey, this is fun. We don't have anything to do.
Fan service.
Yeah.
I'll say this. I love Anthony Michael Hall.
Mm-hmm.
And I think he was no doubt the worst part of this film.
Yes.
His acting, and I do not blame this on him. I think he's a fantastic actor. Mm-hmm. So this is definitely David Gordon Green telling him to act badly.
Was he the leader of the?
He was Tommy Doyle.
He was the guy who did the Evil Dies Tonight.
Yeah,
started that up.
Okay.
Such a bad chant too. I mean, it's not even a good chant.
I remember in film school, I think John Jacobson told us that acting is reacting.
Mm-hmm.
Sure.
But I'm fairly certain that David Gordon Green thinks acting is acting like you're reacting.
I'm just kind of bummed because like I was watching the Joe Bob Halloween thing, and they had
was that Angel? The movie that they were watching, was that Angel?
I don't think so. I think it was they did, oh God, Oh yeah, no, it was
Yeah,
Angel.
okay,
yeah,
I watched that too.
Yep, yeah. And they had both Gordon Green and Jason Blum. They made it sound like it was going to be something. They were like,
yeah, of course.
I mean, like, I just was like,
Director comes out and go, you know what? I dropped the ball on this one. This one really sucks. Thanks for putting it out anyways, Jason. I know you got to make your money back.
It was just like because like they're you know, I don't know, they're so well spoken and really like passionate about the original series and talking about, you know, my favorite part of this entire film was that music was fucking great.
Sure.
Yeah. John Carpenter did a wonderful job, and it really made it feel like a world that was something I enjoyed a little bit more than I would have otherwise.
My favorite part was the Firefighter Massacre.
Oh, God.
I was just like,
the controversial.
What the fuck? Holy shit.
Yeah, that was...
He was like, okay, he is pissed off.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I love is like they watched him walk out, and I was so sure they were going to be fodder, and instead they're like, oh shit, and try to like get ready. They're like, we got to
choke up on their axes and shit. I was like, all right. And then...
they're all instantly murdered. But it's neat that they tried.
Yeah, they didn't just run away, sure.
A for effort. But not this film.
No. Well, I saw something in theater as well that I don't know if either of you saw. Lamb? Did either of you get to Lamb?
No, but I'm very curious.
Don't be.
Oh no.
This film is literally nothing. If you've seen the trailer, you've seen a better movie.
Oh wow.
I mean, it really should have been 15 minutes long. There's nothing in this movie. I mean, like, look, the first 15 minutes, there are some wonderful shots, beautiful cinematography of sheep that I was like stunned. I was like, really, like they got the
beautiful sheep.
No, like really.
Look, I'm no weirdo, but I'd love to fuck that sheep.
I mean, the way they got these kind of looks of the animals looking all at the same time in the same way in one direction. It just made me feel freaked out. And I thought that was wonderful. And then there was the introduction of a monster, and you're like, whoa, what is going to happen? And the answer is nothing.
Wait a second. So does a woman get impregnated by a monster and then they get a lamb baby?
A lamb is impregnated by a monster, and a lamb baby is born, and then they kind of raise it, and you keep waiting for something to happen. And you
for
keep
it to become
waiting,
monstrous or something.
And at every turn that there's any conflict, they just take it away.
Oh.
So you're like, oh my God, that guy is gonna like fucking murder. No. Oh my God, like the husband's gonna like really object to it because it's really fucking weird that his wife is. No, it's fine now.
Look, that guy's got Mincelli. I know what he's gonna do. Nope. Damn it.
Yeah. So I mean, it's not to say absolutely nothing whatsoever happens. It does have an ending, but like, it's just so fucking weak and it's so boring all the way through. And I just wanted to tear out like, it's such a cool concept and nothing fucking happens. And it's like A24, I'm sorry, you gotta stop. This is like a SNL sketch of an A24. Like, you are your own joke at this point. Fucking lamb kid. And then they raise the lamb kid and eat spaghetti with them. That's the movie. So anyway.
Remember the puppet Lamb Chop?
Oh yeah.
God, vaguely.
Was it as creepy as that, or?
I don't know. It was for like 2 minutes, and then it's only shocking for so long. They wait a really long time to show you its face.
Eric, I want you to put "This Is the Song That Never Ends" in our commercial segment. So.
God.
Oh. Well, I saw the other big one of the week.
Dune, tell me.
That's the one.
Oh my God, I'm gonna see that on Thursday. I'm so fucking excited.
Have you seen it, White?
Well, okay.
Well, it's hard to spoil.
Felt like
should I walk out of the room? I've read the book.
Dune felt like homework to me as a book.
Mm-hmm.
And so I started watching the movie, and it felt like homework to me as a movie too.
I fucking loved it. I loved this fucking movie. Take what I thought about Blade Runner 2049, and with a story that I love the book. I've read it a couple times now. And so you take what I felt on that, what he did visually and how fucking cool it was, drop that in with the story that I love. Because I even like David Lynch movie for all the crap it has. And it's got a lot of crap. Mm-hmm. So no, I loved this film a lot. I watched it all the way through, started it up again. And I'm going to go see it. I watched it on HBO because I didn't feel patient enough. So I am going to go see it in the theater.
Whoa.
Holy
Wow.
cow. Now, so I watched about 40 minutes of it. Does Aquaman get any better? Because I thought he was fucking miscast as hell.
So you really don't know the stories of Dune, do you? What happens to Duncan, Idaho?
Well, I just thought that it felt very much like he was playing his usual bro self. And I was like, this can't be the way he's written in the book, is it?
I thought he wasn't he? He was a little bit of a cool dude.
Yeah.
But,
you know, if you don't mind, I'll tell you what happens to him.
I mean, I've read the book.
Okay,
so.
he dies like halfway through the film.
Not soon enough.
Oh my God.
He's only got like 3 scenes. And Duncan, Idaho had that kind of thing. His whole thing was he was the badass, best fighter in the universe kind of thing. And he has the ego to go with it. And so I was like, that's fine.
Yeah.
Okay. I mean, I'm going to finish it. It sure seems slow.
Because it's actually telling the story of Dune correctly. So it's going to be another 2.5, 3-hour film to finish it. This is part 1.
Boy,
You see in the beginning,
Look,
which I didn't know till I saw that in the movie. I'm watching the movie. It said Dune part 1. I'm like,
interesting.
how did I not know this?
Did they are they going to just do book 1? Are they going to do book 2, do you think?
No, this is book 1.
It's just book 1.
The first 2.
Whoa.
Yeah, if you've seen the Lynch movie, this one ends about maybe halfway through where David Lynch's film goes, story-wise.
I actually do like the Lynch version, the one that he actually signed off on.
Yeah.
But only because it's so fucking weird.
It is weird, yes.
This one seemed, I don't know, it just wasn't working for me. You know what? It was not for me.
There we go. Aw, you're learning. Unlike Halloween Kills. Had a little bit of a change in your heart.
I liked Halloween Kills better than what I saw of Dune.
Oh my God. Ooh. You do like a plot then that moves, or a story that moves at all.
I saw something that I did love, and I was like, where the fuck did this come from? It is called Night Teeth, and it is on Netflix, and it's brand new. And I was like, oh God, this can't possibly be any good. Night Teeth? I mean...
That's a terrible title.
How many hands did this have to pass through, and all of them went Night Teeth? Yeah, fuck yeah.
It just sounds like a edgy way of saying like the Tooth Fairy.
I feel like when I was 13 and writing my really derivative stories, I still had better titles than Night Teeth for all of them.
They're vampires, right?
It is vampires.
So it's right up there with the Blood and Donuts as far as great titles for vampire
Blood and
movies.
Donuts is a better title than Night Teeth, but Night Teeth, the movie, is fucking amazing. It is so fun. It is gorgeous. And it is about this kid who he takes over for his brother one night as a chauffeur, and he ends up picking up these 2 smoking hot chicks that he doesn't realize are vampires, and that there is an entire vampire underworld going on, and they are having him drive them to these clubs where they are taking out all the vampire bosses. And so he's getting embroiled in this gigantic vampire war that he has no idea about until about halfway through, mid-act turning point, anyone? And I watched this thing, and I was like, God damn, this was so much fun. The music was great. The visuals were amazing. Loved it.
Wow. You know what? I did see the trailer for this, and I thought this is either going to be good or awful.
Well, take it with a grain of salt. I didn't like Dune, so.
That's true.
Yeah, they sound very similar.
I feel like it's so difficult with you, Kelly, because you and I are either on the exact same page or in like 2 completely different books on the opposite side of the planet.
Don't try to put me in a box, Vanessa.
Well, I'm sure your box is very nice. Oh God, that's not. I saw a film that I know that we've talked about before, but I hadn't seen it, so I had nothing to say, which is Hocus Pocus. I saw that for the first time ever. My cousin and I were exchanging like childhood Halloween films, and she was like, here, you're going to check this out. Yeah, it was really kind of neat.
If I'd seen it as a childhood film, I'd probably love it.
That's exactly
as an adult. I'm like, it's It's fine.
I can see why kids loved it.
Yeah.
And the thing that I loved the most personally on my watch through, because I couldn't really hang my hat on a lot of the humor or on the characters, was Doug Jones.
Sure.
I didn't know he was going to be in it. So that was a huge surprise. I was like, that's fucking Doug Jones. Look at him go.
He's young. He's got some meat on his bones.
Well, no. Well, I mean, he's wearing dead makeup. So I didn't, other than the way he walked, I was like, is that? Oh, it is. It is.
That was Mick Garris's first sale. But if you listen to his podcast at all, he will tell you that movie is not the script he wrote, which was a fairly serious story that Disney bought off him and then revamped for their kids.
Oh,
thing.
Lord. Okay.
But he cashes a check every Halloween.
I
It's
bet.
pretty sizable.
Yeah, pretty darn successful. A lot of people love that movie.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, like now I understand half the Halloween decorations out there. I was like, it's referring to this thing. Huh. All right. Now I know.
Cool.
Hocus Pocus 2 in the works right now
Really?
with the same cast.
Really? I actually did think that what's her name? Sex and the City chick.
Sarah Jessica Parker.
Yeah, Sarah Jessica Parker. This was definitely the best thing I've ever seen her in. I was like, she actually tried in this. That's pretty cool.
Pretty low bar, but all right.
Okay, there you go.
I don't know. She spins around a lot just while singing, spinning. I was like, oh, this is a whole character. Interesting. Take me on a journey. Not just
give her a sin spin and she's going to give a great performance.
Oh my God.
Okay, so I'm just...
Why? What is up today?
I'm going to put these all in one box because I finally watched every one of them, and before I'd seen none of them. I watched all 4 House movies.
Oh my gosh. I have not seen 3, but other than that.
Yeah, 3's okay. It's almost like Halloween 3 where it's like, here, we're going to give this the title.
But it has nothing.
It got changed to, I think, Shock Corridor or Shock.
Oh, is 3 the one with Lance in it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Where they basically were
The
like,
horror show.
we're just going to put this title on it because we don't know what else to do.
But are you telling me you hadn't seen House 1 or 2?
Nope.
Oh my gosh.
Those are so fun.
Yeah. First one's great.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
It's like a Vietnam story.
Yeah. Oddly serious moments.
Yeah.
Really dark, serious moments at one point going, is that really how the movie's going? Oh, good. But, and so that one was great. It's like, okay, let's watch the second one. That one's back to back.
It's fun.
Back to back, it's rougher.
You should not have seen it back to back.
Definitely a different tone taken with this film.
Yeah, it's a totally different, it's almost a different genre. Like, it's so fucking funny if you're in the mood to laugh.
Yeah, it's fun. It's fun, but it was so different. It's like, this is weird. Yeah. And the other one, the horror show, is not available. So I watched that on YouTube. It's full. It's not cut. So it's a whole movie, but it's not available on any streaming service. And it's fine. It's like a low rent shocker, which they came out like the same year.
Yeah.
So
I like that one a lot, actually.
It's fine. Lance Henriksen makes it. You take him out of that movie and you've got a very different film.
Oh, definitely.
And then the last one was so stupid that it was very entertaining. It's really dumb, though. It's not a good movie.
How was the pizza song? And would you like to sing it for us right now?
I thankfully have blocked it out of my mind.
So good.
It was there for a couple days, though.
Yeah.
Vanessa, would you like to sing it for us?
Oh, no, I'm not going to do that to you. Yeah.
But it was nice, it's always...
Pizza. Anyway.
And that perfectly justified as a pizza movie for our pizza subject.
It really is. There's like it's a pretty sizable part of the plot.
No, it's a pretty sizable moment, but I don't know if it's part of the plot.
Okay, in fairness, there's nothing part of that plot for real, other than the irritating brother-in-law trying to steal. I mean, feels like Mario Brothers. It's such a fucking weird movie.
It was so gross when the lead bad guy tortured him with his snot drainage.
Yeah, it's so fucking weird.
I've still never seen this movie. So.
Wow.
Oh,
so
God.
Gross.
It does get really wacky at points in a weird, not fun way. But I do love that the mom moves the daughter who's in a wheelchair into this 2-story house and gives her the upstairs bedroom.
Yeah.
Good luck, girl. You'll be fine. No ramp at all.
Yep. Nope.
Get
Never
those-
really addressed either.
Nope. Never mention it once.
So it's well, there's always those weird ones in the back that you've just never seen. So it's nice to remove these from that list.
That's what October is all about.
There you go.
For sure. Man, I have so many other things to talk about, but I guess we will take a break. I won't tell you about my fat Calvin neighbor.
Maybe next time.
Maybe next time.
Or Creep Show, Chucky, Cop Shop.
Oh man,
Jesus.
Anybody watching
Chucky
anything
is
else?
so damn good.
Chucky's way better than it should be.
I didn't see any of it, but I've been given texts saying that Chucky's amazing. So
Fantastic. Why don't we take a little break, and then we will come back and talk about our topic, which is big city horror.
If you want to be a right good trucker, son, here's what you gotta do. Get the action going on US 1 where the trucks go on through. Where you take that load and you put her down. Where you hit the road and jockey rigs around. All the cars get loaded and you're in control. Head for Motor City and you let it roll. US 1. Motor City. US 1. Move them out. US 1. Those trucks mean business, boy. US 1. Yeah, that's the one. Motor City. For your kids by Tyco.
And we're back. I'm feeling a lot better. I've poured myself a glass of wine. I'm sorry for that outburst. I'm sorry, neighbor. And I'm sorry that you guys had to hear that.
it's okay. I assumed this was like the end of the bottle for you for today.
This is the beginning of the second bottle.
Okay, yeah. I was like, it's 7. What time is it? Okay, all right, yeah, yep. It's about that time.
Our topic today is big city horror.
Ooh.
Yeah.
And I thought that it would be kind of fun to pick something like this, since we've done small town horror and everything. And
Yeah.
It's kind of weird how the stuff that we like doesn't really lend itself to big city stuff.
Yeah.
Oddly true, yes.
So I did a lot of searching and I came up with something pretty fucking great. And that is Dracula, AD 1972.
Yesterday, Dracula was the most fearsome being the screen has ever seen. Today, tonight, you could be Dracula's next victim.
Something new, yet as old as time.
Come on, Johnny.
A date with the devil.
Are you ready? He's ready. He's waiting to freak you out. Right out of this world.
Died September the 18th, 1872. 100 years ago to the day.
You who witness it must swear before the name of the devil to keep it secret. Who knows about vampires, for God's sake? My grandfather died fighting a vampire. The most terrible, the most dangerous vampire of all time.
The year is 1972. A leap year in horror. A vintage year for vampires. A time for the masters of horror to meet again in the 20th century.
Come to me, Count Dracula!
There's too many dreams I got buried up inside, and that's too little time to decide.
The nightmare's over.
I think it is.
I have returned to destroy you.
Dun dun.
That's so much fun. Oh my God. What
Have
a
you seen
cool
it?
choice.
Mhm.
I saw it like when I was in film school, so it's been a long
Okay.
time, but I remember
Been a
it.
while. Oh, yeah.
Okay. This film is from
1971?
no,
3?
so close,
Close.
Vanessa.
4.
It is from 1972.
I like that. 71? 73?
It was released in Germany as Dracula 1973. Do you know why?
Because it was released in 73 in Germany.
Yeah.
What?
You're so smart.
Aw,
I could
thank
find
you.
no information on the budget, no information on the box office. The Rotten Tomatoes critics have it at 22%.
Oh,
The audience has it at 40%. Directed by Alan Gibson. This is one of those guys that makes Vanessa say, oh, he only directed 12 movies. Because this guy has 53 directing credits.
jeez.
Including stints on Tales of the Unexpected, Hammer House of Horror, and then he also directed The Satanic Rites of Dracula, which is a direct sequel to this film. This film is a little weird in that it doesn't quite connect to the other Hammer movies, the other Hammer Dracula movies, even though
Right.
it stars Christopher Lee and Peter Cushing, but the time frame is way off on it being an actual sequel to those. I'll get into that a little bit later.
Mm.
This was written by Dan Houghton, who wrote for New Scotland Yard, Doctor Who. He wrote Legend of the Seven Golden Vampires, and he also wrote Satanic Rites of Dracula. It stars Christopher Lee.
Who's that?
Yeah, if you don't know who Christopher Lee
Is he like Bruce Lee's little brother?
you should look up one of his 282 acting credits.
Many of them incredibly high profile, too.
Sure,
Jesus, man.
he's a part of 2 gigantic film series in Lord of the Rings and Star Wars. Played Dracula a number of times. It also stars Peter Cushing. I have the same to say to you about him.
Yes,
131
basically.
credits, and if you're listening to this podcast, you have watched several of them, I'm sure. It also stars Stephanie Beacham, 96 credits, 3 of them in post-production right now.
Oh, jeez.
She was in House of Mortal Sin, Schizo, and that classic Inseminoid.
Oh,
Mm.
I actually just started watching Schizo this morning.
Oh.
Not great.
It also stars Christopher Neame, who was in Lust for a Vampire, Steel Dawn, Bloodstone, Ghostbusters 2, Species 3.
Whoa.
And then in a very small role, Caroline Munro, who was in The Spy Who Loved Me, Star Crash at Earth's Core, and Captain Kronos, Vampire Hunter, which is a much, much better movie than this.
Oh.
Yeah.
So this movie starts in 1872 with Van Helsing and Dracula battling on top of a runaway coach. The horses break free and the coach goes a little crazy and crashes into a tree. And Van Helsing is kind of thrown clear and then he kind of stumbles over to see what's happened. And here comes Dracula, only he's been impaled by the spokes of this gigantic wagon wheel. So he's got like half a wheel around him. And it's a pretty great scene. I was like, fuck yeah, death by wheel. So Van Helsing grabs the wheel, and basically, jimmies it around in him until it pierces Dracula's heart and it turns Dracula to ash. But Van Helsing dies right after that himself. So he doesn't see a stranger arrive who gathers up some of Dracula's ashes in a vial and takes Dracula's pinky ring with him. Now, you tell me this. Dracula turns to ash, everything. His clothing, everything, except for his ring.
It's a very important ring.
It's got to be like a magic ring at that point, or like blessed by a witch coven or something.
So at the funeral of Van Helsing, this stranger shows up with nobody watching, and he digs a small hole kind of just outside of the cemetery, unnoticed by all. And he drops the ashes in, and then he uses the bloody wheel spoke to kind of tamp it down and seal it in. And it sits there as like Dracula's grave marker, right? 100 years later, we join these teenagers that have crashed this hoity-toity party, and they're playing music, dancing, fucking under a table, while all of these horrified adults look on.
Ew.
Yes.
What?
The adults are all in like black tie and the women are in gowns and everything. And here's all these rockin' 70s groovy
Very
hip cats.
Clockwork Orange.
Yeah,
We're
yeah.
here to fuck things up.
Yeah, yeah.
Love the one you're with.
One of the teens is Johnny, and he looks just like the stranger from 100 years ago.
Ooh.
And then the others are Laura, who's Carolyn Monroe, and Jessica Van Helsing, and then a couple of their friends and everything. So the cops suddenly show up and they all run away and they gather back up at a diner where Johnny says he wants to perform a black mass. And they're all like, groovy, baby. Yeah. That sounds far out, right on, and solid. When Jessica gets home, she goes to the home library and pulls out a big book about black masses. And then her grandfather walks in, Lorimer Van Helsing, who looks just like the other Van Helsing.
Wow.
Huh.
Strong genes in these Hammer films.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And Poe films.
So he takes the book away from her and tells her she shouldn't be toying with stuff like that. And she kind of poo-poos it all. Is like, I don't believe in any of this anyway. And she goes off to hang with her friends. Their friends meet at an abandoned church to perform the Black Mass. And it is the church where her ancestor, Lawrence Van Helsing, is buried, which means that Dracula's ashes are just outside the cemetery. And it's clear that Johnny kind of knows what's up. He knows what he's doing. He's got the ashes of Dracula in a vial, and he's wearing the Dracula ring on his pinky. And there's a moment of mumbo jumbo and shit that freaks all the kids out. And they take off, leaving Johnny and Laura there. And we find out that Johnny's spell worked, and Dracula has returned. And he immediately feasts on Laura. So then the kids are all bothered that they haven't seen Laura for a few days, especially after that creepy Black Mass thing we did. And Johnny's just like, no, man. I took her to the train station and she went and visited some friends and her folks or something. And they're like,
Interesting.
Okay. But then the cops find her mutilated body drained of blood, and Inspector Murray is there. He thinks there is an occult element to the murder, and he goes to talk to his good friend, Lorimer Van Helsing.
Ooh.
And then the hunt is on. Van Helsing starts putting things together, and he realizes that Johnny's last name is Alucard.
Oh, how original. I've never heard a movie do that before.
Yes. And he realizes, oh, he's an acolyte of Dracula, and the Count must have returned. So Jessica is then captured by Johnny, who has been turned into a vampire now, and their friends, whom he has all changed into vampires. And Van Helsing is aided by the last teen from the group who wasn't changed. They track down Dracula to the church, and Dracula plans on getting his revenge on his old Van Helsing enemy by turning Jessica into a vampire. You know, this is pretty much the movie right here. This is a pretty great end battle. There's silver daggers, there's sunlight, there's a pit of stakes that I wasn't expecting.
Oh, nice.
And I really, really had a great time with this movie. Now, there are things that I wish they had done differently. It was horribly, horribly reviewed, as you saw in that Rotten Tomatoes stuff, by the fans and the critics. But what probably seemed like a terrible idea back in 1972 really kind of appealed to me. It almost kind of felt like they were coming towards Marvel's Tomb of Dracula. Dracula in the big city of London and the ancestors of Van Helsing and all of this stuff coming after him. And I was like, fuck, this is awesome. And it probably didn't hurt that 1972 is so long ago that it seems as much a period piece as any of the Victorian films, you know? So I was just like totally into it. The music is groovy and the scenery is great. The main problem, I think, is that Dracula is confined to the ruins of this Gothic church the whole time. So while everybody is out doing stuff and investigating all over big city London, which looks fucking great in 1972, he is not. And I was like, I want to see him wandering through all of the neon and everything and being a fish out of water and all that stuff.
Love at first bite kind of stuff.
Yes, it did not happen. I have not seen Satanic Rites of Dracula, but I think I'm going to watch it to see, because I hear that it turns into like James Bond. Dracula he's like planning to take over the world, and there's these spies and all this shit. I'm like, fuck, I got to see this movie.
Damn.
So I got a little pieces of trivia here, just a few. While the two present-day Dracula films, they're talking about this one and Satanic Rites, star both Lee and Cushing, they do not correspond to the chronology established in the Victorian Edwardian era films. The first Hammer Dracula film, Dracula, is set in the 1880s, whereas the flashback sequence of this movie has it in 1872, which would have made it before the first movie.
Oops.
And of course, they did that because they wanted to have 100 years in between. But still. Also, in those Hammer films, there's like 3 different chronologies in there that don't quite match up. So, like these 2 films that take place in the present, they are definitely sequels and part of their thing. And then I think the first 2 are together. I don't know. It's all very confusing. Clearly, they did not care that much.
True.
I thought this was super interesting. The film was inspired by the story of the Highgate vampire, a media sensation surrounding reports of supposed supernatural activity in Highgate Cemetery in London in the early 1970s.
Oh, shit.
Oh,
So
nice.
I hit the Wikipedia on that and looked that all up. And it was just a lot of grave robbing. There was some vandalizing of graves going on. There was one grave that had been dug up, and the corpse inside had then had an iron stake jammed through its heart.
Whoa.
So
that's cool.
Yeah. Right?
Go find that and pull that sucker out. See what happens.
Right. The character of Jessica Van Helsing was originally written to be the daughter of Professor Van Helsing. However, the death of Cushing's wife aged him considerably, so the script was quickly rewritten to make him Jessica's grandfather. And a picture of Peter Cushing's recently deceased wife, Helen, can be seen on the desk in Professor Lorimer Van Helsing's study.
Oh, wow.
This was the first of 2 films that Carolyn Monroe made under her Hammer contract. The second was Captain Kronos, Vampire Hunter. And finally, Christopher Lee hated the script and the film.
Shocking.
Yeah, well, yeah.
He never does that, ever.
I can't say enough about how much I love this. I can definitely see why you might not. It's not as good as the earlier Hammer films by any stretch.
Yeah.
But there's something about setting it in 72 London, which is, a place that I'm just not familiar with. All the cars were great looking. There's so much history there. The buildings look cool. And it was also just getting a little sleazy. I was like, oh, man. Yeah. So that's why I was so disappointed. I wanted to see him wandering through because he's wearing his clothes from the Victorian age, with the big cloak and everything. I was like, I want to see him wandering down and, somebody, hey, man, those are some cool threads.
Did he have a fro? That's the most important question. Did anybody have a fro?
Yes, there were fros to be seen, but none of our characters had it. They all had very kind of mod haircuts.
Okay. All right.
So just long enough to be dangerous.
That's right.
Rebellious.
Big mustache.
Well, much like your film, the German version, at least mine, took place in 1973.
Whoa.
I know. I went with Don't Look Now.
Psychic. She wants you to know. I've seen her. And she wants you to know that she's happy. Christine.
John, do you hear what I say? It was Christine.
My daughter is dead, Laura. She does not come peeping with messages back from behind the grave.
Yes.
Christine is dead.
Yes.
She is dead.
Yes.
Dead.
What is it, Mr. Baxter? What is it you fear?
My wife was warned that I was in danger. Laura!
Please, fetch him back. Let him not go. Fetch him. Fetch him. Fetch him.
I hope it's not another murder. I will pray for you.
You guys, I assume, have
Oh,
both
yeah.
seen this.
This is a classic. I love this movie so much.
I'd seen this years and years and years ago, and it had forever been one of my favorite movies. And I was like, you know what? I have not seen this in such a long time. I should double check and make sure that this is one of my favorite movies. So that was kind of the intent of why I wanted to visit this one. Plus, I think a lot of people, there are certain things that stick out about it, and it might not be the big city, Venice. So it was really fun to kind of watch it for that specific reason. So this film has a Rotten Tomato rating of 95% from critics.
At least.
At least 76% from audience.
Oh, shit.
Foreign-ish.
Whatever.
The budget for this was $1.1 million. The box office is quote unquote did fairly well. It made its money back with a deal that they did through Paramount that basically paid for the US distribution rights, and that covered it. And then there's no other info about how it did. So
This film had to have done well.
I would think so. Because a lot of people, at least in the UK, watched it, and it did have some controversy, which we'll talk about later for the distribution, but I think enough people probably fucking saw this movie.
Oh, yeah.
It was directed by Nicholas Roeg, 31 films, so not that many, but he did do Man Who Fell to Earth, Walkabout, The Witches, and several episodes of Young Indiana Jones. So I have not seen Walkabout, but I hear it's good.
It is.
Written by Alan Scott, 26 credits, including also Witches, along with the 1996 version of Preacher's Wife, and all the episodes of Queen's Gambit.
Oh, jeez.
Pretty cool. Chris Bryant, who's done written 18 things, so he was co-writer, including Foreign Affairs, Sword of Gideon, and one episode of The Wonderful World of Disney. And of course, this is based on a book by Daphne du Maurier, Don't Look Now. She also wrote Rebecca, Jamaica Inn, and the short, The Birds, which was expanded into a feature film. So some fun base material. This stars, I'm only going to mention the two main stars because everyone else is pretty insular, but Julie Christie, who's been in 54 things, including Fahrenheit 451, Heaven Can Wait, Shampoo, McCabe and Mrs. Miller, Dr. Zhivago, and Harry Potter as Madame Rosmerta, and Donald Sutherland, who's been in 199 things. So, he's getting near Christopher Lee count. Invasion of the Body Snatchers is the thing he's known for. He was also in Salem's Lot. Space Cowboys, which I did not realize he's in. Maybe I'll see it. And Hunger Games. Also recently checked him out in The Undoing. He was extremely good.
Salem's Lot.
Right?
That's a surprise to me. I don't remember him in that.
Yeah.
Which version? The original?
I did not write that down.
Okay.
Yeah.
He was also the Watcher in the Buffy movie, remember?
Oh my God. He's been in so many things. It's really hard to mention which ones are good because he's been in so much great shit.
You get to see his ass in Animal House.
You get to see his ass in this.
Yeah, that's true. And then some.
And then some. I saw a lot of Donald Sutherland in this movie. Lots.
70s sex stars were a little different.
Totally different. Yeah, so the plot of this, which it's funny because the plot is important, but it's also not. And I'll get into that. But the plot, John and Laura, which is Julie Christie and Donald Sutherland, live in a beautiful home in England, somewhere in the countryside, with their 2 children, Christine and Johnny. We start off watching Christine play dangerously close to a pond with a real sense of dread, and she's in this little red raincoat, which is very unusual for the time because it's almost always yellow raincoat. Sticks out immediately. In the meantime, her brother is riding a bike around the property. Lots of weird moments, like he runs over a piece of glass and you're like, what is this? But he's fine. And then they cut between that and the parents. Laura is in the house by the fire reading, and John is looking at pictures of a church, seemingly pictures he probably took, little slides. And then he sees a photo he really focuses in on of someone wearing a red coat in Venice, sitting at a pew. He spills some water on it, and the red coloring on the slide starts to run across the whole picture. And suddenly he stands up and runs out the door full speed straight to the pond where his daughter has drowned. Cut to later. Past, not to the funeral. They are life anew. Him and his wife have moved to Venice, where he's working on a restoration of a church for some bigwig bishop. They're kind of trying to distance themselves from this tragedy. Their son is in boarding school. They have not taken him with them. John is really in denial about a lot of it and not really processing it, just kind of pushing his daughter's death aside. Laura is just super grieving, trying to not think about it, but clearly all the time keeps running back to this topic. And John is like, could you stop? So they're hanging out in a restaurant, as you do in Venice. Laura is not feeling good. She runs over to the restroom and she runs into 2 women. One's a blind lady, and it's the blind lady's sister. And they claim in the bathroom, as you do, hey, we see the blind woman who can commune with the dead has seen her dead daughter. And she's like, hey, she just wants you to know she's here and she's at peace and everything's okay. So you don't need to keep worrying. And of course, Laura is at first kind of put off by this, but then like really intrigued and is like, hey, could you maybe hold a seance, or like, can I talk to her through you guys? And the blind woman's like, no, just maybe it's really dangerous. You don't really want to, get too much into that. But eventually is kind of convinced. Laura goes back to the table and she is thrilled. John is like, what now? He is not happy about this idea of trying to commune with his dead daughter. He doesn't believe in any of this stuff. He took his wife here to heal and to get away from all this crap, and she's just digging herself right back in. So he wants nothing to do with these psychics, but Laura is very, very interested in pursuing it. So she starts to spend time with the psychics, and they reveal that they seem to kind of be able to be in touch with her. Maybe it's hard to tell. There's weird stuff happening. But the one thing they do say is that John's life is in danger. So Laura's trying to tell John, hey, yo, your life's in danger. This blind psychic lady I met in a restaurant bathroom told me so.
Why do I keep hearing Whoopi Goldberg in my head?
I know, right? There is some kind of overlap with that. However, actually, Johnny, their young son, has an accident at school, and she needs to fly back to England, check up on him. John is going to stay behind because he really has to finish up this church work, which, by the way, has a horrible accident in and nearly dies. Is a really freaky scene of him like falling off some scaffolding and holding onto this rope and just twirling around. And you got these Italian guys kind of poking him with a stick, trying to get him to like swing back to them. And oh my God, it's actually a really freaky scene. Really, really cool stuff. So John is like, okay, Laura's gone off. But he's taking a boat, I've forgotten the name, gondola, and he sees his wife on the boat with the two women, and she's wearing all black, and they're like on this boat. She looks like she's in some kind of a, I don't know, like she's staring off into the distance, like she's under some kind of magical spell. He gets freaked out, starts running after the boat, trying to find her, running through the streets of Venice, across the bridges, cannot see her, but he's now convinced that she has been basically kidnapped by these ladies, and goes to file a police report with a very chill Italian detective who could not give less of a shit. He seems to both care and not even remotely care. And he's like, so wait, what? These women? Okay. But she like, they pay, like, what are you talking about? Like, there's no actual feeling of dread around the story you're telling me, but okay. Of course, he gets the women thrown into jail. Turns out, did not happen. His wife calls him from the school to let him know that Johnny is just fine. So that's all fine. And of course, there's just a lot of like weird things happening throughout that you can't really put your finger on. There's a lot of just Venice itself almost coming alive, and he's acting more and more paranoid and off-put. And a lot of people will just like watch him and Laura like walk around out of their windows. The city is really a strong character in this movie, which I absolutely fucking love. It feels like the entirety of Venice are in a cult, and they're all in a cult against him. And of course, the infamous ending. God, this film was fucking amazing. I was so glad I rewatched it. It's so fucking good. The tone is just constant dread, just all the way through, even when happy things are happening and like good moments in their marriage where they're loving and positive things are happening. It's still like terrifying all around them, and you just don't know quite why. And the reason that you're getting that tone is from this completely insane stylistic editing.
Yeah.
The editing in this film is out of fucking control. Like, it's just constantly cutting between future, past, present, random things that shouldn't mean anything but feel like they mean something. And there really is a lot of kind of interwoven themes of water and the color red, and kind of this idea of not understanding yourself and that putting you in danger. God, this film's so fucking good. And like I said, Venice itself, I really forgot how much it is its own character in this whole film. So, a little bit of fun trivia. Rogue knew the director knew he wanted Julie Christie and Donald Sutherland from the start, but they were both on other projects, but somehow both unexpectedly became available. Like it was meant to be. Christie actually knew him as a cinematographer on two other projects where he had been the cinematographer for Fahrenheit 451 and Far From the Maddening Crowd. Sutherland felt that the script was too negative towards clairvoyance and wanted the characters to benefit from ESP and not be destroyed by it.
Fucking hippie.
I know, right? Rogue resisted the changes and had to issue him an ultimatum in the end because, like, he was so insistent. He just really wanted it to be, dude, don't come down on that. That's some cool shit.
Sort of makes the ending really hard.
Yeah, I know exactly. Like the entire point of the film is dependent on that. The woman in the red coat was 4'2" and actually a well-known singer. I know. Okay. Renato Scarpa was cast as the inspector, the kind of guy who seemed to care but not care. He didn't speak English and had no idea what was being said to him in the film.
So he was just delivering his lines. They were probably telling him how to say the words.
No, he was I think so. He did speak some English, but I do think he spoke mostly Italian in it.
Oh, okay.
I think he responds a lot in Italian.
Okay.
Yeah. So there's like a lot of moments where it looks like he really does not understand what Donald Sutherland is saying, and he doesn't.
I see. Okay.
Yeah, that kind of disengaged look really was working. A lot of the shooting of this was really difficult, including the scene in the pond. Sharon Williams, who played the little girl Christine, became hysterical when they submerged her in the water. So even though they'd rehearsed in a pool and everything, she couldn't do it. So a farmer nearby volunteered his daughter, who was a great swimmer, but she also refused to be submerged, funnily enough. So finally, they had to do it in a tank at a separate shoot, and it took 3 different girls to get it right.
Well, I mean, the daughter is like, what, 5 or something?
Yeah.
This had to be pretty fucking scary.
I was thinking that too. And the pond is like dark and there's like weeds in it and shit. Like I would be pretty freaked out too.
Pretty creepy.
Yeah, it's not a good. I mean, even if you rehearse in a pool, it looks very different than a fucking deep, weird pond. The shot they did for Venice, when they were shooting there, they really wanted to avoid all those known tourist locations. So they did their best to really showcase a more true non-touristy Venice, but it was really difficult to film in, mainly due to the tides, which caused a lot of problems for both continuity and transporting equipment.
Sure, yeah.
Which, I mean, if you think, I got to get all this camera stuff and gear and lenses and film into a gondola and moved across and then back out again, actually would be a huge pain in the ass. I do feel like I understand why there are more films set in Venice. Yeah. But it is neat because that city is not going to be with us forever. So it's cool that this was shot there. Donald Sutherland had to do the stunt in the church where he nearly fell to his death twirling on a rope because the stunt artist refused to do it. Some of the paperwork for the insurance wasn't in order. So Donald agreed to do it. Later, a renowned stunt coordinator, Vic Armstrong, commented that after watching it, that the wire used was not designed for that purpose. And the twirling would definitely have caused the rope wire to be damaged and snap if Donald Sutherland had let go of the rope during the stunt. He would have fucking died.
Alec Baldwin said it was fine.
Too soon. I know that while I was writing these notes, I was like, oh God, this feels very timely. There was a huge controversy over that sex scene we were talking about. It was one of the biggest censorship rows since Last Tango in Paris in the UK. It was unusually graphic for the period and showcased cunnilingus in a mainstream film, which was pretty much never done before. American censors said they did not want to see humping, nor the rise and fall between the thighs, which is why it's cut in such a fragmented style where they're showing both the after sex and during sex. But they did say no one did hump or look like they were rising and falling between the thighs, so it was fine. It received an R rating in the US, and in the UK, the BBFC judged it, quote unquote, tasteful and integral to the plot. But they did give it an X rating. Later, when it was cut for TV, they removed the sex scene entirely. Rumors also were circulating that the sex was real. And Warren Beatty, who was dating Julie Christie at the time, flew to the UK and demanded it be cut from the original film. Peter Bart made it much worse because he was an executive for the film company at the time and claimed he saw that Donald Sutherland's penis was going into Julie Christie. But then later, Sutherland and Peter Katz, the film's producer, said that was not true. It was definitely simulated. So...
stunt cock.
I think the cock was definitely real. It very much attached to Donald Sutherland. There was a lot of wide shots in here, but whether or not they were actually having sex, hard to say. Don't know. Could have been, could have not been.
I've never had sex, but I assume that's exactly what it looks like.
All the 70s just butt and oh my God. Seemed like a very loving exchange. The entire thing was a last minute improv that was thrown into the film, as well as a few other scenes, including a lighting of candle in church.
The sex scene was an improv scene?
Yeah.
Holy shit.
Yeah,
boy, you sure couldn't do that now.
Yep. I know.
Well, I think when they say that, what they mean is that the scene as it's shot was not written that way in the script. It was, I think it says they have sex or something like that. And so then it becomes the director saying, well, why don't you grab hold of his penis.
Right.
She's like, how about I grab hold of his head? You guys heard of cunnilingus?
Oh my God. I seem to remember one of the, I didn't find this in the trivia this time, but I seem to remember that being the first scene that they shot because they wanted it to be
Make
like
sure it got
weird
done and out of the way.
No, I think they wanted to show a
I
gulf.
don't want you guys to get comfortable with each other before I get you naked and simulating sex.
Yeah, that was
right.
I think that was exactly it. He was basically like, look, I want you to feel, I want there to be something off about your relationship. And so they'd like basically met each other that morning and they're like, all right, let's do it. Let's get naked. Yeah. Film was the other fun fact I have about this is it was released as a double bill with Wicker Man in the West End.
Jesus.
I know. At the in October 1973. So
That's
and it was
a light evening of film watching.
I know, right? What a fucking crazy double bill.
A24 wishes they could make a movie like this.
Right.
This is, when you say quiet horror, this is quiet horror. And the dread and everything that's going on here is so much stronger than The Witch or, even Heredity, which I like.
Yeah.
Hereditary.
Hereditary.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think there is something about the 70s in particular where they're experimenting with cinema and they're experimenting with acting and so many different things where they're taking something that's so structured and so well known and breaking every rule that you get these moments of just wild like editing and wild shots and just why not? Like they're not worried about the budget and they're not worried about having a cool soundtrack and having interesting actors. They're more just like, fuck, we're gonna do some crazy wild shit. You guys in? Yeah, here's some weed. Let's go.
You see a movie like this or like The Wicker Man, and you feel like the director like absolutely had a vision.
Yes.
He was just like, I know what I want.
Yeah, there is not a moment that's wasted in this film. Like you think at points you're like, this feels so random, but then by the end, everything ties together. Like all the moments you see red are all tying together. All the moments, the fact that they shot this in Venice because he's trying to get away from the horror of his daughter's death, but he chooses to work in Venice.
Yeah.
So there's like
surrounded by water.
Yeah, these weird undercurrents of really well thought out writing, really well thought out filmmaking.
I would have paired this instead. Well, it didn't come out at the same time, but this and The Changeling would make an excellent double feature.
God.
There's a lot of similar themes.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah,
And
chasing
wonderfully
their own
different
ghost.
wonderfully different tones, but would work together very well.
Yeah. Oh man.
Well, my movie's nowhere near as good as that.
All right. Well, that was the show.
So yours has got to be 1974. It has 72, 73.
Keep going.
75?
One more.
6?
1976.
Yeah.
Hey. Born for Hell.
Catholic or Protestant?
American.
Where have you come from?
Saigon.
Vietnam.
If you don't mind.
What brings you to Belfast?
My ship docked here.
Grab your socks. Morning. Rise and shine. If somebody really likes somebody, as I like you, well, perhaps that goes beyond friendship. Did you ever think of that?
So it's you.
I have never heard of this film.
Do not know this at all.
It's got a different name. We'll get to the different titles it had later on. This one has a Rotten Tomatoes score of 1 from a critics. So there's only one critic. It hasn't been rated. He did not give it a good score, though. And 11 from the crowd.
Oh, dear.
So glad that I've taught you well.
Right up there with the worst
How
ones
would
I've
you ever
reviewed.
pick a movie like this?
This is a Severin film release.
Oh, sure.
Not for Vinegar Syndrome, Severin. So budget of $900,000, give or take. No idea what it did at the box office. This is directed by Dennis Harrell, who directed The Uncanny, Strikebreaker, and Virgin Lovers.
The Uncanny.
I don't know if it's that one you're thinking of.
Well, The Uncanny is not a good movie
Is
either.
it British?
Yeah, and
That
I
might be
believe
him
it's
then.
got, if I remember correctly, it's got like a cat demon in it. And
Sounded familiar, so I put it on the list.
Sure.
Let's see.
That's what
It actually had 2 directors. The other director was Gazel von Radvanel, but he was uncredited. He, however,
I take Radvanel to help me sleep.
Uncredited might explain the 1%.
He directed Circus Maximus, Inferno Giallo, and Woman Without Names. A whole bunch of heavy hitters in this film.
Yeah.
It was written by F.G. Ranger. This was the only film he wrote. The director got credit as a screenplay contributor. And he also wrote, There's always a way to find a way. Well, that's a title.
That's a really great title. There's always a way to find a way.
And some guy named Glenn Wood, who was also listed as a screenplay contributor, but only for this film.
How do you get that shitty credit? Screenplay contributor?
I don't know, man.
You must have
I feel
read
I
it
should have
once.
some of those. I've contributed. I didn't write shit.
Improved his line once or twice, and then
There
he was
you
like,
go.
I should probably get a credit for this.
Let's see. It stars Matthew Carrara, who's got 208 credits, almost all French. But he also was in Look for Them, Love Rights, and Quantum Leap.
Yeah.
Deborah Berger, who's in The Inglourious Bastards, Invaders from Mars, and Night Nurse Massacre.
Yeah.
So, movie opens, and apparently it takes place in Belfast. Why? Because Belfast pops up on the screen and sits there for like 5 or 10 seconds.
Oh
I'm
my
like,
God.
oh, boy.
Just so you know.
This is trouble. But I think I know why they did that. We'll get back to that later. But so that goes on for a little while. Guy gets off of a boat. He's just getting back from Vietnam. For some reason, he went from Vietnam to Belfast and is now trying to get a boat to get back to the U.S.
He wanted to get away from all of the horrible things that were going on in Vietnam. And so
The army.
Belfast, 1976 seemed like a good place. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, not really the best choice. The killer of the movie is an American still, so Belfast gets to keep themselves clean. After introducing him, and he comes off the boat and does some things like goes to a bar and various things, now this is a takeoff on the Richard Speck murders.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Did you know that going into this?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
And so then now they're going to are you familiar with Richard Speck?
I'm not. No.
He wasn't so much a serial killer. He's like I don't know if you call it spree killer, or I forgot the term where you just kill a bunch of people in one place.
Sure.
Mass murderer.
Yeah, mass murderer, spree killer. And he killed 8 nurses, or 8, was it nurses or sorority girls? I think it was a sorority.
Whoa.
8 women in a sorority in one night.
Jesus.
With a knife.
Oof.
Fairly brutal story.
Oh.
This is sort of a telling of that.
Oh.
So now they're going to introduce us to the nurses, which is a weird change in tone. So they've got this dark, dirty Belfast, which of course was full of violence because of all the Irish uprising and stuff that was going on. And they bring that to the movie. There's violence and
Some would say British occupation other than
There you go.
Irish
Yes, there you
uprising,
go.
but okay.
Oh dear.
And so they switched to the nurses, and suddenly we're like in a 70s sorority/nurse movie from Al Adamson or something, where it's just like, hi, we're having a great time living together and watching TV shows, and whose turn is it to vacuum? Whose turn is it to make dinner? It's like,
Oh my
wow,
gosh.
this is a weird tonal shift. Guy finds out he can't get a boat home for a week, so he starts to get very upset. And then it goes back to the happy days with the nurses, and kind of a setup for, will this movie be even darker? One of the nurses is pregnant.
Oh no.
Wait a second. Is the guy that we're introduced to the Richard Speck character?
Mhm.
Oh,
Whoa.
Yep.
oh shit.
Yep,
Okay.
exactly.
That's interesting.
And this movie has some of the same problems I had with A Stranger Calls Back, the original, or When a Stranger Calls, the original, because they're kind of setting him up to be an all right guy. Like he befriends a gay guy who tries to talk him into becoming a sex worker, and he handles it really well. He just says, I'm not interested, thanks, and all this stuff. And he's living in a group home, getting along with that guy and getting along with, I mean, he's kind of a loner, but he gets along with whoever he happens to sort of run into. He stops a lady from stealing things, and in a very strange reaction, she says she wants to thank him by sleeping with him.
I mean, come on.
And probably in one of the most unsettling scenes in the movie, he doesn't want to sleep with her. He just wants her to dance for him. So he plays a harmonica while she dances, and she's horribly uncomfortable. And she's like, oh, this feels really gross and dirty.
Weird. Huh.
You realize he's also a weird guy. And to emphasize what's going on in Belfast, all the nurses come home, except one's late because she got caught in a gunfight on the street between two guys and a sniper or something. And
Jesus.
she has to get out of that and comes home after that.
Vanessa, it could always be worse. I don't want to hear you bitching about traffic anymore.
Okay, that's fair. That's fair. But if I was late for that, would you give me as much shit as you do currently?
Yes.
Yes, probably. Okay. Unless you got shot, then you might get a mulligan.
Okay. All right.
Little one. But anyways, he first goes into the house to see the people by just sort of walking in the back room through a kitchen and pretending he's a homeless guy who just wants a meal. So they give him some food and kick him out and lock the door, and he walks out and there's cops watching the house. One odd thing that seems to get bizarrely right in this movie is they're which you don't see in movies very much. They sit down and watch TV in the nurse's place. And it's not done as plot points. It's not, they turn on the news and see, sometimes is, but other times it's just, they're just watching TV. It's like, this is weird.
Huh.
This sounds so familiar. I'm starting to think that it was a group of nurses and everything. It's not like at a hospital or anything, right?
No, it's just, they're like living in a house together.
Is this anything like Black Christmas? Because it sounds like it just has a little feels of
not
chicks
really
just hanging out, doing whatever.
Black Christmas is much more of a entertaining style slasher film, although it's darker than most. This doesn't quite hit that level.
Okay.
It's not as good either.
Yeah.
Take that for what you will.
I love Black Christmas.
The 1% wasn't enough for you to figure out that it wasn't as good.
It was only one man. We don't know.
Oh yeah, there's one guy who gave it 1.5 out of 4 stars. Right. The other was 11 though.
That's not so bad.
From the crowd.
How many crowd?
I don't know. But then he forces his way in, and this is where it kind of follows the spec thing a little bit better in that he puts them all in a room, ties them up, and then takes each person out individually.
Yeah.
And it is the weirdest, darkest kind of film I've seen in that the scenes are grim. If I was to describe them to you, you'd be like, oh, like kind of rape, but not rape, and kind of forced to do things. But boy, it is flat. It's this weird one note where it's like, if you watch Last House on the Left, there's the oddly horrible scene just forcing the girl to pee in her pants, which is just horrifying. This never hits that, even though what they're doing in your mind sounds like it should be much worse. Very weird. It's not that it's bad acting, and it's not that it's badly shot. It just hits this weird one note once he starts, and it never seems to deviate from that.
Finish this up. I have so many questions.
Sure. Okay, so he does all that. And like Richard Speck, he left one of them alive. And he left the late, because one of the women hid under a bed, and he didn't know the count right, or he didn't know how many people were supposed to live there. So she lived. And this same thing happened here. And there's the pregnant lady that lived. So, here you go.
Yeah.
And then after he's done, while the world is freaking out about these 8 women being killed and the one survivor, he goes into the bar where he started out, and you hear people talking about it. Richard Speck actually gets mentioned. They talk about, didn't that happen in Chicago? And how do 8 people get killed by a guy who just has a knife? I mean, asking all these kind of questions like you would expect you might find in a bar. So that scene's incredibly well done. And he interacts with the people there because they have no idea he's there. He goes and he talks to the news people. A lot of that was done really well, which is strange because it's like, are you trying to humanize him? It's not going to work. We're well past that. So it just kind of ends at that point. He
gets away with it?
He doesn't get away with it. He sort of does. He tries to kill himself. Oh, I forgot to mention, he's got a tattoo. Born for Hell.
Oh.
Hence the title, Vanessa.
Yeah.
I'm with it now. I understand.
When they're sewing up his wrists after he tried to kill himself, the guy's like, you're the guy. Or something like that.
Oh, because the girl recognized the tattoo. Okay.
Jeez.
So before I get notes and trivia, would you like to throw the questions?
I don't know. How many notes and trivia do you have?
Just not too many.
It's not on. Well, let's hear your notes.
Okay, sure. Part of the reason I went to Last House on the Left is the guy physically sort of looks like David Hess, but has nowhere near the menace that guy creates on screen. It's like that guy's freaking terrifying. Taglines for this film. Sometimes I wonder if these are people that go on ID and making them up. This is one of those times. 9 young women opening the door that night meant ending their lives. I mean, come on, who writes that as a tagline? A terrifying shocker of unforgiving evil and tasteless torture. 9 young women, one night, defiled, tortured, torn apart.
Oh, jeez.
A diabolical shocker that will grip you and hold you spellbound. Don't ever let him enter your house. No woman can escape him because he was born for hell.
Oh, boy.
My God. There's so many.
So what you might, if you did see this, it was also called far more knowledgeably as Naked Massacre, which is what is released, I think, in the US and a few other countries. So like if you look this up, it does that thing where it changes the title on like Letterboxd or IMDb sometimes.
Yeah.
And this changes the Naked Massacre in a few places. So like I said, it's loosely based on the Richard Speck murders. It was 8 nursing students. But they were 8 nursing students. These were these seem more like they're actually nurses. When they agree, or the 7 release has interview with the lead actor, who also acted with Orson Welles.
Man.
Did he get tips?
High point.
Yeah. In The Legend of Doom House.
Okay.
Do not know that Orson Welles movie. It's a Belgian fantasy horror film. They had to change it to Belfast because whoever held the rights to Richard Speck's story wouldn't let them put it in Chicago.
Of course.
And they had to change it from 8 victims to 9.
Because it was otherwise too close.
I don't know. I was like, okay. The lead actor talked about he felt the movie did a good job of kind of making a of the facts telling of the story. And even stated he didn't feel they hit the heavy emotion and did it kind of flat in the way they told it. So this is a guy being interviewed like last year.
Wow.
Talking about the film. So apparently that was done kind of on purpose. And he claims to have slept with all 9 nurses that
Oh my God. I'd like to know what they say about that.
Yeah, none of them were interviewed. I'm disappointed.
Weird.
The weird part of the weird thing with the extras on the Severin disc are almost all about Richard Speck.
Wow.
There's virtually nothing about the movie. And there's a fair amount of extras. There's like 5 documentaries or something.
Oh my God.
And they're all Richard Speck's. Like, hell.
All right, Severin.
One thing it did really well, like we've mentioned before with 70s films, Belfast is dirty and grimy.
Yeah.
My God, man. And the one person who did have a review, Matt Brunson of Film Frenzy, Called the film competently filmed, but one note. Score 1.5 out of 4.
That's the guy. It's him.
So, what question?
So that was what I was going to ask you. Was this a competently made film?
Structurally, it was well told. The acting was good. The shots were fine.
But it couldn't have been like a studio film, right?
Oh no, definitely not.
Okay.
Fairly independent looking, and had it was disjointed in a lot of ways. Like I said, the tonal changes are very strange sometimes. Like the war scene, like the Belfast stuff on the street seemed like it was done like a war movie, which I'm sure it felt like if you were there. And then the nurses before he came there was Pollyanna. It was very weird. And I always have a problem with a film that, unless Richard Speck really was some kind of amazing guy to everybody in his life, which I don't know his story well enough to know for sure, and that's what they were reproducing, I always find it a strange choice, especially after the killer's done all the awful shit they do, to try to humanize them in the movie.
It is what wildly weird choice. But I will say the weird tonal shifts make perfect sense if there were two directors.
Oh,
Yeah,
I
that's a
didn't
good
think
point.
about
Yeah,
that. I
so
didn't
one
think
of them
about
is
that.
off in the streets of Belfast going, this is a fucking dark movie. I'm going to put in these World War II, Vietnam feeling, like harrowing moments. And the other one's in like a fucking set being like, hey guys.
Well, they were consistent in that he didn't become Pollyanna at any point. His story was always dark.
Yeah.
And then the nurses were very bright. The problem was it was so
Like, yeah.
la 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 to, oh my God, death, destruction, my life is horror. It's like, whoa.
Right.
So, Vanessa, you can back me up on this. The women probably all deserved it, but was there
God.
a moment that made him suddenly become a woman killer?
Not
It
really.
seems like a big
what
jump.
It was a very big jump. He was having a rough time. Things were not going well, but it was only he couldn't get a boat back to the U.S. for a week.
Yeah,
Right.
that seems like a
I mean-
pretty small issue.
Well, you know.
Well, I mean, like, I don't know. Like,
Well, it's also because killing with a knife is an incredibly
super personal.
Yeah,
It feels
really
like there had to be
intense and-
something else in his past, and it would have been nice to have
Mhm.
seen that.
Yes.
Yeah.
Unless they're just saying, look, Vietnam will change a person.
Yeah, that could be.
but it should be like the final straw. It
Yeah.
shouldn't be the only straw.
Yes, yeah.
That
well,
you're
they
seeing.
gave him
Right.
some straws for things to go wrong, but
Right.
that's a leap.
That is,
To having a few
Yeah.
bad days and some weird encounters with some people you don't like, and then a perfectly wonderful encounter with a gay guy trying to talk you into sex work.
Right. That seems like a good opportunity for you to show the audience, oh, he's super unbalanced, and the slightest suggestion of that just, pushed him
Right.
over the edge or something.
Yeah.
But he seems to
Yeah.
handle that just fine, and then, takes it out on all those whores.
Oh my god! But all that aside, Kelly, yeah, I mean, I think you're right. Like, as far as the tone of the sex moment, if he had taken that gay suggestion to jump into this thing and been like, oh, sex is the thing that snaps him. And he fucking beats the guy up, then you could be like, oh, there's an undercurrent of anything sexualized, and there's all these women, and it's like a waiting.
And that
like
would have
lambs at
tied into the
slaughter.
weird scene with the harmonica.
Right,
Where he didn't want to
totally.
have sex with the woman who very obvious. I mean, she takes off most of her clothes.
Right.
So she's right there. And he
I think
has
it's
no
time to
interest.
remake this movie.
Just make
Yeah.
that one scene.
Oh, God, there's some
remake that one
brutal
scene.
scenes. And it's not comfortable. It's not comfortable. It's not like I'm not getting any emotion out of this scene because they're so brutal that it's rough. But there wasn't that that last house on the left, that irreversible. There wasn't those moments that it felt like it should have been.
Okay, so then this is probably a question you can't answer, but what do you think? So this is an indie film. What is it trying to emulate or become or something like that? I mean, Halloween is still a couple of years off, so it's not it's not a slasher film,
No.
and it's not Taxi Driver.
It's in that neighborhood. it's closer to the idea of Taxi Driver and Natural Born Killers, where the director, from little bit I was able to get from the extras that were about the movie, he was very upset with the idea of the violence that was going on in Belfast and the violence that was shown by what Richard Speck did. So it was supposed to be an observation of that. And I think that's why he cold shot a little bit the really violent scenes, which is strange. I mean, because the biggest problem I had with Natural Born Killers the first time I watched it is it did exactly what the movie said it wanted to fight against, where it made these glorious, powerful, fun people you kind of wanted to follow. They don't do that to him, at least, but I can see why Severin put it out. It is well made. It's well done. It's just, it should sit in the world of Last House on the Left and Wes Craven's film,
with the mutants, the desert mutants.
Yeah.
Why can't I think of the name of that?
Hills Have Eyes?
There you go.
Thank you.
It should sit in that world, or Texas Chainsaw, this deep, disturbing thing, but it's too much of a clinical study, almost.
Yeah, it sounds like he's trying to almost document.
Yes,
like
exactly.
Say, hey, here's like a documentation of what this might have looked like.
Oh yeah, exactly.
But didn't quite get it right.
Mm-hmm.
All right, final question then.
Yes.
Did you like this, and would you recommend it? I'll take my answer off the air.
First time caller, long time listener. If you've watched a lot of Severin and you like the kind of tone and stuff they put out, it fits into the Severin world. It's well enough made that it shouldn't have been Vinegar Syndrome. It's definitely Severin.
I see.
But I don't think I'll be watching it again. Although I'm a little curious to watch some of the extras, but I wanted them to be about the movie, so I'd have more to talk about. But I'd see what the Richard Speck stuff does, because the guy who does most of their documentaries does amazing work when he makes documentaries.
So Vinegar Syndrome has like their own guy that does all these things? Severin, sorry.
Yeah, he's the guy who did, he's got that folk documentary that's touring around right now. And he's done the one I talked about anthologies, and did the Al Adamson one. I'm assuming he probably did at least one of those because he does hundreds of them.
Okay. Well, I thought this turned out pretty good.
Yeah, absolutely.
I had a good time with my movie, at least.
Same.
Yeah, no, that's. It was interesting, but it was a weird little, almost roller coaster of one note.
Well, Vanessa, I think that means it's your turn.
Oh, yeah, my turn. So I watched a movie at one point for one of the weeks, and I would really like to talk about it because I have all these notes.
Oh.
So I am going to go with ninjas.
I am so glad you said this. Do you want to know why?
Oh, yeah. The mystery is killing me.
Go on.
Because we're coming into November, and you know what they say.
What does it say about November?
November is for ninjas.
No Nut November?
Ninjas for
I hope they do not say that. It's Ninja-vember.
Oh my God.
In fact, I'd like to propose something here that you guys could try to talk me out of, but I bet you can't. I say we go all ninja all November.
Huh. What an idea.
I'd be very curious.
Let's take a vote.
What our
all in
listeners
favor?
think of this.
Me, yes. Let's do it. Okay.
I feel like all three of those voices were you trying to do me? but all right.
I don't know what you mean, Corey. You handsome devil.
Oh my God. I have a deeper voice than that, sir.
I don't know what you mean. Okay, this is the part where I thank everybody, especially Vanessa.
Rolling right past. No arguments, I guess. All right, we're doing it. Go on.
For participating in the value for value model, for liking and sharing our posts, for sharing when the episode goes up. We see you. We love you. We can't thank you enough. Eric, you've got something to share?
I do. We got a couple new 5-star reviews.
Oh my gosh.
Oh.
What?
From, I don't know if he wants to be blasted out, so I'll just say from Lawrence.
Oh, okay.
Thank you. And, I wouldn't even care what they were discussing. These guys are hilarious.
Lawrence, the joke's on you because we're discussing ninjas for the next 4 episodes.
And from somebody I think you know, CZ.
Oh.
Great chemistry and tons of suggestions on what to watch.
Oh.
That's from Carlos Zamora, who I spent last weekend with. And I think we might have had
Hot tubbing?
9 bottles of wine.
Oh my God. You guys are
I
like,
hope your word hot tubbing or you'd be
you got
like
such a
dead right now.
bromance going.
I would say that, well, he probably likes me more than I like him, but it's just a little bit.
Oh my God. Oh, that's awesome. Well, thanks for having it result in anything. Good job. Way to friend.
Kelly works hard for those 5-star reviews.
He really does. 9 bottles of wine and we get 1 5-star review.
I got 9 bottles of wine out of it.
Yeah, there you go.
That's true.
I will just say, if you like listening to podcasts about local stuff here in Seattle, that CZ Media, you could do a lot worse than that. I think it's a really fun podcast. In fact, I listened to Tony K on 2 episodes of it.
Oh, nice.
And here's what I have to say after that. Tony, where's my fucking money, you nerd?
I don't know what that means.
Nor do I. I can't imagine Tony owing you money. But...
He didn't owe me money, but I liked that Carlos kind of tried to put him on the spot and ask him a few things, and Tony weaseled his way out of anything that might have required him to make a stand on anything important.
Oh, sure. Unlike our show, where we just say shit.
Yeah.
Hopefully no one listens to it.
Fuck Alec Baldwin, you murdering bastard.
Oh my
wait,
God.
just the producer version of you.
The actor version of you. That's a horrific. He was crying. Anyway.
I gotta say, that's gotta be tough, right? I mean, but they were at work the next day. So maybe it wouldn't be that
It's
tough.
been canceled now.
No,
I was reading
gonna say it
today
was
that they've
canceled.
stopped shooting now.
I don't think they went back.
I think they went back the very next day.
I'm
and
curious.
Then
about
they got a lot of flack and they cut down. Look, they could not possibly have enough insurance to cover the lawsuit
there's
that
no
is
way.
coming this way.
There's no way. They can't. No. They cannot finish that movie.
The movie can't be released. Nothing from it can be released. Everybody would just be crucified if they tried to make any kind of money off of this project.
Oh yeah.
Oh, and not to totally switch gears, but I did order a bunch of the Strange Eons gear, and it did arrive. From Etsy.
Including listeners, she's unbuttoning her pants. Oh my goodness, these are lovely underwear. Thank you, Vanessa.
First of all, that's actually something I do want to bring up. They're not underwear.
Oh,
they are swim bottoms.
Really?
They're for swimming bottom. Yeah, you go swimming in them, but you can get your own tops. So I have a great half of a bikini, and I'm pretty stoked to try it out this summer.
That's all you need to swim around here.
It is lovely. I will not be wearing it as underwear though. Also, the Tri-Lunch shirt is awesome, and I love it. It's really
how are the
soft.
stickers?
Stickers were, they were fine. They did what they needed to do. They stuck.
Good.
They stuck to something.
You can just wear them as pasties, and there's your whole outfit.
I get the whole thing going, ready to go. Yeah,
right.
Absolutely.
And with that, I should say that if you donate enough, you'll get photos of that. So, all right. See you later.
No,
bye.
No, you won't. No, you won't.
Our show is recorded somewhere high above Naval Station Everett at the nexus of all realities and is engineered and produced by Eric Margaret. Our theme music is Strange Eons Part 1 by the band Nightshade and is used with permission. Find Strange Eons Radio on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram, and wherever fine podcasts are found.
I feel like it's so difficult with you, Kelly,